Thank you very much for joining us on the program. And we are live for you in French and in English, and also on our website, Africanews.com. Now, the main Guinean opposition parties and civil society groups, including trade unions, have announced the creation of a coalition to prevent President Alpha Conde from seeking a third term in 2020. President Condé, who is a former historical opponent and the first democratically elected president of this former French colony in West Africa, previously has often questioned the relevance of the limitation of the number of mandates on the continent. His second constitutional term ends in 2020.
Indeed, this coalition of opposition parties and civil society is being formed against a background of rising awareness in other African countries, including Zimbabwe, Sudan and Algeria. The leader of opposition, Salou Diallo, also appealed to members of the defense and security forces to be inspired by actions of their Algerian counterparts in reference to the departure of President Abdelaziz Bouteflika under public pressure.
We're now being joined by a political analyst from Guinea, Mohamed Mara. Mohamed, a warm welcome to you. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. First off, what do you think of the coalition against President Condé, which was launched yesterday in Conakry?
President
Alpha Conde has just succeeded in making rather unusual challenges, which is to bring the political establishment, in particular the opposition as a whole, to form a bloc with civil society, which was very, very far from being achieved. It should be remembered that most political parties that make up this opposition, most of which are led by former ministers and former prime ministers, were divided for many months, because the President of the Republic and his camp have nonetheless managed to make a debacle of important opposition figures who have found themselves in government. You could say that it's a gamble, but unfortunately, it's in the wrong way that Alpha Conde has succeeded. So we are waiting to see what happens. Already, leaders of the presidential movement are taking the lead to criticize this new coalition that has just been created. As observers, it's probably the largest socio-political gathering in our country in more than a decade. And what we witnessed is as it is at its very inception on Thursday. The opposition says it's mobilizing against President Alpha Conde's bid for a third term. Isn't this a show of intimidation because he hasn't officially declared it yet? The president has changed his position. A third term being impossible since it's guaranteed among the 8 unchangeable elements in our constitution. So now there's talk of to draft a new constitution in the Republic of Guinea. In fact, on the 8th of March, International Women's Day, we witnessed for the first time placards and posters bearing complaints from a group of women belonging to the ruling party who are calling on the people of Guinea to hold a referendum. Now, as for the issue of intent, I personally do not have an idea because even if it's true that the head of state did not say it very clearly, when asked the question, he answers every time that it's up to the people to decide. Today, however, you have ministers who are calling for this open-air referendum. You have the leader of the presidential majority in the National Assembly who is calling for the same. You have minister advisors in the presidency who have set up support groups in this regard. You even have the ruling party, which is now calling for this debate on a new constitution. So it's a well-known secret, and in my opinion, the opposition has only just come to a reality. It had not wanted to consider this option at all, but today we think that both the opposition and the civil society have come to understand that this referendum story is more than a reality.
Will the union against President Condé lead the opposition to have a single presidential candidate come 2020?
Well, it's hard to say. For the time being, the question of a presidential election is not even on the agenda. What is rather feared here is a shift in electoral calendars. So for the moment, what concerns everyone is the Democratic Republic of Congo.